Now that we've covered the why and why not of coming to Istanbul right now, let's talk a little bit about the logistics, because some of them are hectic. First of all, there's it's called a HES code, HESCODE. I recommend you do all of this before you come to Istanbul. I had a huge pain in the butt dealing with it because you have to do something with text and it wasn't accepting my American number. So try to do this HES code before you get here. It's basically their registration system so that they can track you if you get COVID or if you're exposed to COVID. And you're gonna need that to get into certain hotels, certain malls, and maybe even certain gyms. So do the HES code stuff before you arrive to save yourself some trouble. Give yourself some time to do it. If you're trying to do it on the ground here with a wobbly internet connection or something, it's just gonna be a huge pain. So do the HES code before you get here. Number two, what about getting to the Istanbul airport? Well, there's two of them, and both of them are crazy hectic. Remember that this is the biggest and busiest city in Europe. Millions and millions of people. I think, I don't know, there's 15 million people that live here. I don't know, it's a really high number. You can look it up. The airports are crazy. So there's gonna be a huge line for immigration, there's gonna be a huge line for luggage, and the minute you step out into the area where public is allowed in the airport, it's a madhouse, it's a zoo. So what I recommend is knowing how you're gonna get from the airport to your accommodation ahead of time. This is not one of those cities to wing it because it's just too chaotic. So I'm gonna go through some options for you. First of all, if you're looking to do it really cheap, there are buses. It's gonna take longer if you take a bus. But my friend who came and visited me from Germany, he took a bus, he said it was fine. It might have been around $5 or something like that. It's gonna bring you all the way into town. Takes about an hour from either airport into most parts of town where you would be accommodated, but it's gonna take even longer on the bus. You can get a taxi. I always recommend that you arrange that ahead of time so that you have one of those reliable taxi guys holding a little sign waiting for you. It's gonna be really hectic grabbing a taxi at the airport, but you can do it. I just recommend you get an official taxi. It probably should cost about 400-ish Turkish lira to get from either airport into town. So you don't want to pay too much more than that, but the official taxi stand is going to be the best for you. I took an Uber. Now, it actually worked fine for me, even though there really isn't Uber here, and I'll explain it. You can open your Uber app and you can get an Uber driver. And from the airport, I found it to be the best option. It was a little tricky to be like, where are you, where are you? But once I found him, he was cool, it was a good ride. I think it was only 325 or 340 lira, which was a little bit better than a taxi might have been, okay? So that actually worked. You can use the Uber app here, but it will only be basically yellow taxis that respond. A lot of times, they will cancel on you, they won't come, and most of the time, not from the airport, but once you're in town, most of the time they'll send you a message in English, which maybe is translated by the system, I don't know. And they'll basically want to know where you're going, and if they don't like where you're going, they'll just cancel on you. So it's not like Uber in the United States or other countries where they just come and pick you up. It's like they kind of quiz you about where you're gonna go, and if they don't like it, they won't pick you up. And sometimes there won't be any Ubers, especially during, like, if it's raining or an inconvenient time. They'll give you a price that's not regulated by Uber. They'll say, oh, we don't like the official, or they won't say it, but they'll say, okay, I'll come and do it, and they'll give you a price that's 5 times what you should be paying. So Uber does not exist in the form that you think that it exists, like it does in any other countries. I actually don't know what Uber's thinking, allowing them to do this, because almost every taxi driver, I would say 75% of the taxi drivers that I got through Uber canceled on me because I didn't want to pay 4 times the price that Uber was quoting me. What's going on? Come on, you guys. Either have Uber or you don't. Like, you have a brand, you got to keep to those standards. There's just so much information that I would have wanted to know before coming to Istanbul that you can't even find in the guidebooks, and it takes forever to find on Google, that I want to give to you. So everybody in Turkey smokes. I'm exaggerating, but it's almost everybody. It's not as bad as Serbia, where they're allowed to smoke in restaurants, because inside the restaurant in Turkey, you cannot smoke. And inside buildings, you cannot smoke. So that's a good thing, makes it tolerable. But outside, everybody smokes. The taxi driver smokes. Everybody outside at the restaurant smokes. If you hate smoke, and you're coming in a time where you want to be able to sit outside, you're gonna hate it, because everybody smokes. They are keeping the tobacco industry in business. The water. The locals don't drink the tap water, so keep that in mind. It's like Mexico in that sense. Masks are pretty much to be expected anytime you're indoors. Outdoors, not enforced at all from what I've seen, so you don't have to wear a mask when you're outside, if that's something that is a good or bad thing, depending on your beliefs on that. And you will have to show your HES code to get into certain places, like I said, on your phone. Let's talk a little bit about the metro, because this is gonna be your easiest way to get around, because like I said, the taxis, so the Ubers will try to kind of scam you. 50% of the taxis, if they know that you're a tourist, will try to scam you, and they'll try to give you the non-meter rate, so it's kind of a big fight and a big hassle half of the time. The other half of the time it's great. So one of the things that you're going to want to think about and consider if you're here for like 3 or 4 days, you might want to consider public transport. In Istanbul is actually great. There are metro subways that are very extensive, and there are trams and buses for those places that the subway doesn't go to. I think it's a little bit crowded, but it's very efficient and very affordable. One thing you have to know is it's very difficult to actually get the ticket, and I'm going to help explain that to you with some videos.
Supposedly, you're supposed to be able to buy the Istanbul card from this machine, but I did not have much luck with it. English. See, it's English. Nope, it takes you to French. Then it takes you to an ad while you're watching your wallet, right?
So I'm not sure why the process of getting a metro ticket in Istanbul is so bad, but somebody's not doing their job. I don't know. So this is the Istanbul card. In Turkish, it's Istanbul kart. And this is going to make your public transportation experience much cheaper, but it's a huge pain in the butt to get, at least right now, and I haven't heard that it's going to change anytime soon.
Istanbul card, nope, goes away. Istanbul card top up. What I'm guessing is that normally here and here would be an option to buy the actual Istanbul, oh, that went back to Turkish. Nope. Okay, back to English. Normally it would have an option to buy the actual card, but apparently what I've been hearing is that they are completely out of cards. So it makes it a bit of a strange search, because you have to buy the card at a supermarket, and then you have to go to another special place to have it linked to your HES code, which is that code that connects you so the government can track you if you have COVID.
I've been to 4 or 5 other countries prior to coming here in the last 4 months, as you've seen if you've been following my channel. I was in Poland, I was in Hungary, I was in Romania, I was in Serbia. This is the least English-speaking country that I've been to of any of those countries. So I was pretty shocked by it. I just thought, being such an international city, there would be a lot more people that speak English, but there's just not. There's a few people that speak conversational English, but it's very much a minority compared to countries like Poland, Hungary, Serbia. What you'll find is that a lot of people speak almost no English, a lot of Turkish people, or they speak a little bit of English with a really good accent, but it's super basic, like they might know the numbers, or they might know a couple phrases that have to do with their profession. But you'll find out very quickly that once you ask them a question with any level of specificity, they give you an answer which doesn't correspond to your question because they don't understand what you're saying. Here's my tip with regards to that. Before you come, download the app Google Translate. It's pretty darn good. Download the Turkish so that you have that there. And I think you still need an internet connection, although I'm not sure about that because I always do, because I have T-Mobile in the US. I have a connection anywhere, even though it's only 2G. It's still enough to do Google Translate. And it allows you to use conversation mode. You just talk into it and you say whatever you want to say in English. And then it puts it in Turkish, and it even says it, and then they hear it. And then they just push the other button and they talk in Turkish and it comes to you. So really, really, really useful, especially if you get in a bind. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about for the shorter term travelers is what neighborhood you might want to stay in. Well, for the shorter term travelers, you're going to want to be near all the tourist stuff. So I would recommend probably Cihangir, which starts with a C because the C is pronounced like a J in Turkish. So Cihangan, Cihangir, Cihangir, something like that, Cihangir. It's kind of below the Taksim Metro, and it's above Tophane Metro. It's kind of hip, it's got a lot of cool restaurants, it's even got vegan Istanbul if you happen to be a vegan, which was good. And it's safe, and you can walk from there to some of the tourist sites like Galata Tower, and you can easily walk to either the metro or the tram, cross that little body of water called the Golden Horn, and get to all the sites in Sultanahmet, which are the great sites like the Hagia Sophia, the Topkapi Palace. Or maybe in Sultanahmet, you could also stay over there if you're a tourist. That area is like 100% touristy and prices are a little bit higher. Over by Cihangir or near Galata Tower and kind of near Taksim Square, you're gonna get prices that are a little bit slightly less touristic, even though they're still kind of touristic. Cihangir is kind of south of Istiklal Street, which is that big long street that I just consider one big tourist trap, and it's just a big outdoor mall, which you can go to anywhere in the world. I don't know why you'd come to Istanbul just to go to an outdoor mall. I'd much rather go to the historical sites and something a little bit more authentic and authentically priced. But if you want to check out Istiklal Street, it is not very far from Cihangir. If you go to the other side of Istiklal Street, that's called Tarlabash or Tarlabashi. And the Tarlabashi neighborhood and that little area around what's called Taksim Metro, Taksim, is considered by locals, all the locals that I talked to, it's considered dangerous. I was fine. I actually accidentally stayed in kind of the ghetto, and I was completely fine. But I have pretty decent street smarts, and I've done a lot of traveling, so I know what to look for. I always keep my wallet in my front pocket, that kind of thing. Of course, you could go to Kadikoy or something on the Asian side, but just keep in mind if you're only here for 2 or 3 days, if you want to stay in like a hip Brooklyn neighborhood, it's probably cool, but it's going to be much more of a pain to get to the tourist sites if that's what you're doing every day. So those are the areas and neighborhoods that I recommend if you're here as a tourist or a short-term visitor for just a couple days. And just keep in mind for any LGBT travelers, it's really relative how safe it is here. Compared to the rest of the Middle East, Turkey is one of the most open countries, but only 25% of Turks believe that homosexuality should be accepted by society. So it's really low compared to the rest of Europe. It's like 80-90% in most of Europe. So not as accepting here, but I did not get the vibe that it's unsafe. The government is becoming more and more religious and more Islamic. So it is not going to be the safest place for expressions of same-sex attachment. But the funny thing is, the men, straight men and local men, tons of them all the time, walk arm in arm. So I guess if you're here with your boyfriend walking arm in arm, no one would even know. Unfortunately, it's usually not about the average people or the young people or the local culture. Sometimes it has to do with just general politics. Keep in mind for the LGBT travelers, I always want to keep you kind of in the loop. Good luck. And I hope that you really enjoy Istanbul if you do choose to come now. For those of you who were able to decide based on my information that now might not be the right time or that now is the right time, I'm super happy because that's what I want to do. I want to provide value in this channel. I don't just want it to be about like, look at me, look at my lifestyle. I want to give you the information that I would have wanted. I hope to encourage other travel vloggers to do the same thing. Like, I'm kind of tired of seeing just a picture of you laying on the beach. I want to know, like, was there a ton of seaweed and you just brushed it aside for the picture? Or what is it really like? Like, should I come here? Should I come over another place? We all work hard for our money. We want a value in terms of how we spend it. We want as much information as possible. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Please click subscribe if you like this content because I'm gonna continue traveling to different places and giving you my perspective as both a short-term traveler and a lot of times as a longer-term traveler, digital nomad. You can click the bell if you also want to get notifications when a new video comes out. It also helps us out a lot. And feel free to leave a comment, especially a nice one or even a question. Criticism is even okay too, as long as it's not nasty, because those get edited and deleted right away by my troll patrol, which is my mom. No, I'm just kidding. You can even give me suggestions about where you think that I should go next and what I would enjoy and what neighborhoods I should stay in and all that kind of stuff. We can make it kind of interactive. I'll see you wherever I'm going next. Bye. I am here in the beautiful Mosaic Museum in Istanbul. And these mosaics are from Byzantine times, which I believe is over 1,000 years ago. Now, it's really beautiful, and it looks like I'm the only one here right now, which is really, really cool because there's a lot of tourists around town. So it shows that, just like I found online, this is an under-visited site, and really worth it in terms of its authenticity. Keep in mind, there are absolutely no guides available, so you won't know what you're looking at really unless you looked it up ahead of time. And there are no audio guides available either. They actually looked at me like I was crazy when I even asked it. So, looks like a beautiful little gem that could use a little bit of, what shall we say, orientation towards tourists so that they can maximize their experience. But as of right now, maybe that's why there's nobody here. So I'm gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna see if maybe there's at least some information printed on the walls in English so that I can learn a little bit more about it before I go home and research it more. Looks like most of it's in Turkish right now, but we'll see. I confirmed with the guy working at the gift shop that these mosaics are from the 6th century.
I mean, I was telling him, in my country, if you see something 200 years old, you make a museum about it, and you're impressed. These are from the 6th century, so we're going back like 1,500 years and seeing mosaics of this quality preserved. At this point in the museum, you can get so close to these old mosaics, look at my shoe, that you can practically touch it. I'm not going to, but look how close. And look at those colors. Well, that was really cool. When you come out of the Mosaic Museum, it dumps you out into a little bazaar, so I'm gonna check that out. But I really loved the museum. I feel like it was really a little gem. I love finding places that have valuable pieces of art that are not overcrowded. To me, that's the greatest kind of travel experience.